Hardcore Wrestling Radio. In HWR, we may not drop a lot of pipe bombs, but we sure as hell drop a lot of F-bombs. So don't say you weren't warned.
Just like defensive backs being drawn to Colin Kaepernick in a 49er football game, we'd like to welcome you everyone to this very special interview in conjunction with WGS-TV and Hardcore Wrestling Radio. I am your host, the Wrestle Gamer, Double B Billy Boudreaux. Allow me to introduce my co-host first. First off, he is the host of Hardcore Wrestling Radio, which can be heard exclusively on Spreaker.com/HWR Media and YouTube.com/HWR Show. He is the Illuminous One, the Shining Star, Rick Starr. Rick, how you doing?
Billy, I'm hanging in there, as always.
He's our resident music mogul over on YouTube.com/Lance Moss TV. He is the incomparable Lance Moss. Lance, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
And he is singing the woes of the Niners and Colin Kaepernick over on the hood on Instagram. He's the Bay Area MVP known as Will. Will, how you doing?
Let's just get the interview over with. This dumb game.
Ladies and gentlemen, a very special guest has to be considered one of the best tag team specialists of his time. One half of one of the most legendary tag teams himself, the Midnight Express. Former member of the Dangerous Alliance. Ladies and gentlemen, he is simply known as Beautiful Bobby Eaton. Mr. Eaton, how you doing, sir? First off, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us tonight.
You're more than welcome. I'm doing great. Thank you.
Now, you are very, very well known for your work in the Midnight Express with several people, and there's been all kinds of incarnations. I remember the first run you had in the Midnight Express was with Loverboy Dennis Condrey, and then they changed it up from him to Sweet Stan Lane. What was it like going from Dennis Condrey to working with Stan Lane?
Well, I mean, it was fine. It wasn't no big thing. I mean, they're both two different kind of wrestlers. This is kind of roughneck style. Stan's more showmanship.
There's one thing I wanted to ask you. I do remember one match that really didn't happen too often because of the danger that it kind of presented. But I do remember you and Dennis Condrey being involved with a match with the Legion of Doom, the Road Warriors, and a scaffolding match. How did the concept of a scaffolding match come about?
I don't know exactly how it came about, but I know Jerry Jarrett was like in the first one that I know of. Him and Don Green, I think.
What kind of dangers did actually working in a type of match like that was? Because one thing I did notice was that structure didn't look very sound.
That's crazy, man. And I don't know. It's just you can't do much, because if you don't want to get hurt.
And longtime manager James E. Cornette. You've worked with them for years and years. What was it like working with him?
It was great working with him. He's full of energy, and plus we were friends. We got to travel up and down the road together. Yeah, so it was fun.
I think you probably made it a point not to stop at any Dairy Queens with James E. Cornette because of that infamous meltdown scene.
That's just one of them y'all seen.
Well, no, he's had more meltdowns at a Dairy Queen.
No, not Dairy Queen, but just a lot of places. Stores, malls.
Oh no, I can imagine what you've seen throughout your years working with James E. Cornette, and some of the times you just had to stand back and just wonder, what is he doing? But he was actually a very brilliant mind for professional wrestling, and he was very synonymous with the tennis racket, being a great commentator, and your work with tag team wrestling really set it apart. When did y'all decide to break off the Midnight Express and decide to go into a singles route?
Well, I didn't really decide to break it off. We were under contract with WCW, and Jimmy had problems with the front office,
Oh,
and so he tells them what's on his mind anyway. And I was under contract, and I'm the only one of the group that had family, so wife and kids. So they knew I needed my job. I needed to stay where I was at. No hard feelings over it, but that was another meltdown he had too.
I can imagine. I can imagine
Yeah.
because when you work with friends, you just get very loyal to them, and from the things that I've heard over the years and the people that we've had the opportunity to interview, that the wrestling industry backstage is a kind of a very cutthroat kind of industry.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's not really like what happened to Jim when they left. Uh, it's just a mixture of things of, you know, the management telling us one thing and then we show up and they want to do another thing, and you know, Cornette telling them what's on his mind and then telling them where to go to. You know.
Now, at one point, they paired you into the Dangerous Alliance, working with Paul Heyman, Arn Anderson, Stunning Steve Austin. I got to ask you, when you first looked at Stunning Steve Austin, did you ever think that he would grow into the talent he became under the guise of Stone Cold Steve Austin?
Well, we were in the Dangerous Alliance, I'd wrestled Steve for the television title, all around when he first came into WCW, and I knew that he had talent and he was going to do something.
All right, at this point in time, I'd like to turn over the questioning to the host of Hardcore Wrestling Radio, the illuminous one, the shining star, Rick Starr. Rick, you're up next.
Thanks, Billy. Of course, thanks, Mr. Eaton. First and foremost, I knew you with in the War Games in 1992. Talk about the experience. What was that like?
Was that the first one with Dangerous Alliance were in?
In the War Games.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. It was kind of like hardcore, You waiting. I was already hurt during one of them. I got hurt like 2 or 3 days before on TV. But yeah, it's different. It's not as crazy as the scaffold match.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was different. And we all got along in the Dangerous Alliance. It was fun traveling up down the road together.
Yeah. All right.
Got some great workers in that group.
Now,
Yeah.
what was it like working with Chris Benoit? And I saw that you had a match with him.
Yeah, it was good. Real good working with him. We became friends right when we met, And then we were in Japan together a couple times. We didn't go there together, but we was there at the same time. And he'd been there a lot more times than me, and he taught me, some ways to deal with the culture over there. Yeah, I got along with him fine. He's good. He was a great guy.
Now, what are your thoughts about the Benoit murder suicides?
I was in shock. I was really in big shock because I never seen that side of him. So I don't know if it may have took both of them to, mess, Nancy and him. It's just because Chris was a good guy, a laid back guy. And I like Nancy too, but something that I ain't never seen before made him do that.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were. It really did. And again, Chris Benoit was like one of my favorite wrestlers, so I think it shocked the entire wrestling world. Moving on real quick, I noticed that you did a one night in the TNA back when they had the 6-sided ring. Did you find it more difficult to wrestle in the 6-sided ring as opposed to the traditional 4-sided ring?
No, not really. The rings can have 10 sides to it. Don't matter to me. I'll adjust to it. You just act like it's still only got 4 sides.
Interesting.
You're not gonna hit all 6 sides of the ring. You're only gonna hit one side of them.
One of our listeners, Jordan, asked, "What was your favorite tag team you had ever faced?"
Well, of course, Rock and Roll Express. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've got a long history together. Dusty Rhodes and Magnum TA, Tully Blanchard, Arn Anderson. Go on, Fantastics.
Despite the fact that you have been a heel throughout the majority of your career, many have said that you are one of the nicest guys they could ever meet. They also say that you can also play whenever anybody faces you. You've been called as what's called as a night off. They say it's because you're so skilled in the action because it looks convincing that you don't hurt anybody. You've never hurt an opponent. Talk about that a little bit.
No, Yeah. I don't, nobody, I hope nobody ever goes in there planning to hurt somebody. I don't think a lot of them do, but some of them have done. But I just enjoy wrestling. I enjoy making the guy look good. Maybe get my little stuff in there here and there. And, just have a good little match.
What do you think about TNA today?
TNA, I watch TNA. Well, sometimes I'll watch the show, but sometimes I'll just blame some of it out. They got some guys I like seeing, like watching wrestling. Uh, about a few guys.
Okay, and well, I think we're also gonna put it over. I'm gonna bring it over to Lance. Lance, over to you.
Thank you. Mr. Eaton, I just
Hey,
have a few questions. You
okay,
were there when, in the ring, I believe, when Jim Cornette fell off the scaffolding
yeah, yeah,
and broke his leg.
yeah, right.
What was the first thought when you saw that happening that went through your head?
Uh, it really didn't surprise me, because if you watch how he fell like faster than anybody ever fell. I'd fell up right before him, you know, but he seemed like go twice as fast as me, you know. And he's still in there cussing. He's calling every cuss word he knows. He didn't want to do it. He didn't want to do it anyway. And I'd hurt myself too on the way down. I twisted my leg a little bit. I didn't say nothing. Nobody ever came over to me and asked me how I was. Cornette was cussed and called everybody every different kind of name there was.
Now, uh, you have a long history around where I live, around Memphis.
Yeah,
Uh, you did a match with where you were in a 6-man with I believe it was you and the Moondogs versus Jerry Lawler and the Fabulous Ones. Can you talk about that match?
I don't remember a whole lot about. I remember that match, but uh, anytime when you're working at Memphis, it's and you're working with Lawler, you you're featured on the card, and as people get behind him and everything, it was fun. I liked the Moondogs, got along fine with them. I seen one of them about almost a month ago in Charlotte, North Carolina, at a fan convention.
And with that, one last question. Do you remember of the quote first family with Jimmy Hart?
Yeah, oh yeah,
What was it like working with Jimmy Hart?
it was great working with Jimmy Hart. That's when I was teamed up with Coco Ware, uh, Sweet Brown Sugar at the time, and you know, we traveled together. Coco, I thought Coco and I were a good team.
And with thank you for your time, and I'm gonna throw it over back to Rick.
All back to him, bud.
Well, we can throw it over here back to me. Mr.
Okay.
Eaton, I was wondering if I can read you a few names of current stars, and I was wondering if you could, in one word, describe, your opinion on these wrestlers.
Okay,
All right, Dolph Ziggler.
I like him. I like his work. I think he's smooth. He wrestles. And he's a good heel and a good babyface now.
All right, Randy Orton.
Great worker. I worked with his dad. I was with him when he was breaking in up in Louisville at Ohio Valley Wrestling. I didn't know he was going to turn out to be the biggest star as he is. It don't surprise me that he is.
Hmm. John Cena.
Another thing, I was with him too in Ohio Valley. Uh, I had no idea he was going to be as popular and as he is.
Hmm. All right, AJ Styles.
I don't know him very well, but I like his work. I like watching him wrestle.
Definitely, definitely. What about Alberto Del Rio?
I like him. Yeah, I like him. He works hard. He's consistent with his work. He's always he gives everything. He gives 100% in his matches. I can tell that by watching him on TV.
Daniel Bryan.
I was with Daniel in Memphis with with WWE training camp. Then again, once again, I didn't know he was going to turn into the biggest star as he is. So it shows you never know.
All right. My next question for you, coming from an era where tag team wrestling was so proliferant, there were so many different tag teams, like in the 80s and in the 90s, but we really don't see that much. It's almost like tag team wrestling in like in WWE and TNA, it's just kind of faded a little back. We don't see tag team wrestling as much and proliferate as we did back in the 80s. Why do you feel that we don't see tag team wrestling the way we used to?
I don't know exactly what the reason could be unless just the owners don't like tag teams, you know. Because, yeah, they don't have, if they do have a tag team, they'll put them together for 2 months and then they break them up, let them wrestle each other for around for 2 or 3 weeks or months. So I don't know what the deal is about tag team wrestling.
If we can look towards TNA just a little bit, one of the big flaws that people say is wrong with the company. You know, they feel that Dixie Carter really just doesn't know how to run her wrestling company the right way. Do you agree with that statement?
Well, I don't know her that well. I mean, that's why she's got Hulk Hogan there, I guess, now to help run it, and other guys helping her run it. So I don't know if she's doing it. I'm sure maybe she's got the final say so. I don't know if she knows anything about wrestling at all. I never heard of her before TNA. That don't mean nothing.
I want to take you back to 1995 when Eric Bischoff comes into the company in WCW and then makes the announcement that WCW was going to go head to head with WWF, or that's WWE back in the time, ladies and gentlemen. Be sure you remember that. With on Monday nights with his new product WCW Monday Nitro. When you were first presented with that concept, what were you thinking? With your company going head to head with World Wrestling Federation.
I was excited about it. We had the Monday night show. We were all doing. That's what WCW was like, a TV company. We did Saturday night TV, Saturday morning TV, and then we did the head-to-head stuff. I was excited about that. I think it was good for wrestling.
And of course, one of the biggest storylines ever in wrestling was born with the conception of the New World Order, the NWO storyline, and that a lot of people consider that storyline right there, that angle, to be one of the main reasons why WCW was winning the ratings war with World Wrestling Federation at that time. What do you think kind of made that plan just fall through in WCW?
I don't know, but it did. Right when they did the deal and put Hogan with them, the place just got set on fire. We started doing good. We hadn't done good house shows. I mean, the guys worked hard in the matches, but we weren't drawing nobody. And then when they got hot, started selling out the buildings. TV ratings were going up. So I don't know for sure, but I think that belongs to Eric Bischoff.
I do remember one time him actually going on the air and actually challenging Vince McMahon to a pay-per-view match, and I think what that did is it made fans switch product over to the World Wrestling Federation to see if Vince McMahon would actually respond to that, and he never really did. But one thing that was done by Eric Bischoff, and as a wrestling fan, I've never really agreed with this, but one thing I do remember him doing during Monday Nitro was actually giving away the results of the 1 hour Monday Night Raw. You as a wrestler, did you agree? I know it really doesn't matter, but from your perspective and your opinion, do you think that was the right thing for Eric Bischoff to do?
I don't know if it was the right thing. I wasn't really a big fan of that right there. There's other ways if you want to try to bury him. But I don't think it helped us out. Him doing that. Telling them who won this match and who won that. I don't think the people cared, to be honest with you.
Now, when WCW got bought out by Vince McMahon in the WWE, we saw a lot of transitions from WCW wrestlers like Diamond Dallas Page, Booker T, Chris Kanyon, and a whole host of others jump into the World Wrestling Federation. And there were a few of them who really went on to be very successful with Vince McMahon in the WWE. Booker T is obviously one of them. He's a Hall of Famer for a reason. We got big stars. Vader was a part of World Wrestling Federation too, but this was like before the buyout as well. But there were some people in there who made the jump to WWE who I feel, in my opinion, wasn't really properly utilized by the WWE. Prime example, Diamond Dallas Page.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think he was, but I don't know if it's something personal or what.
I want to know if I want to take you back to one name that you did mention, Magnum TA, and one of the things that tragically cut his career short was that motorcycle accident that he had. Can you talk to us about that accident and what happened with him?
Yeah, I remember the night it happened. We wrestled in Greenville, South Carolina earlier that night, and of course we all drove back we were all living in Charlotte, and I don't know exactly what happened how the accident happened, but I was behind him the whole way back to Charlotte. Wasn't like we were following each other. I was just behind him, because he drove fast anyway.
Now, do you think if it wasn't for that accident, Magnum TA would have exploded in wrestling and been a lot bigger than what he was?
Yeah, I do believe that. Because everybody liked him. He was a hard worker, good talker, handsome guy, tough guy.
Now, I wonder if a lot of fans remember this. I don't know if Rick or Will would remember this, but I do remember you working in a tag team with Steven Regal, and you were known as Sir Robert, Earl of Eaton. I mean, how
Robert.
Yeah, how was that character, that concept of you and him as a tag team in the Blue Bloods? How did that concept come about?
Well, it was supposed to have been Triple H and Regal, and Triple H left to go to WWE, and they were looking for somebody, to put in that spot, and I wasn't doing nothing at the time, so they looked at me and said, put him in that spot. So I enjoyed the heck out of that. I enjoyed doing the videos for it. I love Steve Regal.
That's another person that I would have to say kind of falls into that category of not being properly utilized throughout his career in WCW, because when you think of one of the main titles in WCW, in my personal opinion, the television title, one name that I find to be really synonymous with that title was Lord Steven Regal.
Yeah, I agree with you. He has some great matches on TV. With him and Larry Sabisco has some great matches.
Oh, yes, definitely. Now I want to ask you this question. When you look at today's crop of wrestling stars, whether it be WWE or TNA, which one of them kind of stands out as being the next huge thing? What wrestling star do you see as being the next Hulk Hogan, the next Stone Cold Steve Austin? Who do you think has that kind of capability of having that?
Aaron, I couldn't be honest with you. I couldn't tell you, because the way they're being used now, they make a star out of it. I'm not saying just anybody, but they look what they've done with Daniel Bryan. They wasn't doing nothing with him. Then all of a sudden decided to give him a push. Now his main event. I like him. He works hard.
Now, we've always had a tradition here with every guest that we've interviewed. We always like to ask, are there any funny road stories that you can share with us from your career?
Oh, I mean, yeah, there's a few. I don't know. You probably read in Jim Cornette's Midnight Express book, if you've read it. Story with we went into me, Jim, and Stan were leaving the event that night. We stopped at the store, and Stan's seen like a little toy rack. It had lots of ants, like playing, not real ants,
Uh-huh.
It looked just like ants. And Jim's crazy. Jim's scared to death of bugs. So
Oh,
we got
no.
back in the car, and we're both acting like something biting us. Stan's acting like Stan's in the front seat, and he's slapping his leg, and he's cussing, there's something biting me. Turn the light on, Jim, and Jim's looking down, and so they don't find nothing. Just finally,
Oh,
Stan put some on his sock, something like that, and then he's still selling it, like, something biting the hell out of me. And then he tells Jim turn the light on. And turn the light on. So Stan they put a few on his socks. He had white socks on. Jim's seen him, and he's cussing, and he pu- he he pulls over to the side real quick. Stan, as he's getting out of the car, Stan takes one of the ants and hits him in the back of the neck with it. He's
oh no.
running around, hollering outside, screaming, cussing everybody.
Oh my God! I can actually
And then
picture that in my head.
And then about that time, as he's running around in front of the car, it's dark, the headlights are on him. State trooper pull up behind us.
Oh no!
Yeah. It was fun as heck, man. We knew it was over with them because we're playing around on the roads. That was one of the funniest things.
Well, one thing I would love to say to you is, one day soon I would love to see the Midnight Express in the
Yeah.
WWE Hall of Fame, because I feel you guys, as an all-around gimmick, especially with you and Stan Lane and Jim Cornette, you guys really do deserve your own spot in the WWE Hall of Fame.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I'd like to do that. We were just put into the Hall of Fame up in Charlotte, North Carolina, the Mid-Atlantic NWA Hall of Fame. Stan, Dennis, Jim, and me. That was a pretty neat deal.
And what better way to really cap it off by being in the World Wrestling Entertainment Hall of Fame?
Oh yeah, I'd love to. But I don't know if it's gonna happen or not. I don't know.
I was wondering if there's any chance you could do a favor for us. I was wondering if you could say, "Hi, my name is beautiful Bobby Eaton, and you're listening to Hardcore Wrestling Radio."
Okay, yeah. Okay. Hi, this is beautiful Bobby Eaton of the Midnight Express, and you're listening to Hardcore Radio.
Mr. Eaton, thank you very much for your time. It was indeed a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you very much,
I'm not one of the better
It was
ones.
awesome.
Thank you.
All right.
I'm sorry I didn't do better for you.
You were great.
No worries.
You were great, and
were
that
awesome.
was a great story too.
Yeah.
Like I said, I can imagine Jim Cornette running around having a heart attack, running around. Oh, there's a fake ant on my neck. There's a fake ant on my neck.
Yeah.
It's like
he's slapping the back of his head. One's on my GD neck. One's on my up in the neck. You guys have a good night.
Oh, thank you very much. On that note, Rick,
Take care.
Rick, where can fans check you out on HWR?
Of course, they can always find me at Hardcore Wrestling, Facebook.com/Hardcore Wrestling Radio. And anytime you want to listen to our page or listen to our shows, head on over to Spreaker.com/HWR Media. Make sure you like us. Make sure you hit the follow button. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Right. Okay, and Lance, what can fans expect to see when they come visit your channel over on YouTube.com/LanceMossTV?
Album reviews, NASCAR reviews, wrestling reviews, and whatever else pops into my head.
And he secretly worships Brian Thompson of TCW in the basement of the hood on Instagram. He's the Bay Area MVP known as Will. Will, what you got coming up? Well, I think Will is probably just in awe right now about everything, but be sure you guys check him out on Instagram. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, also don't forget to like the Facebook page, which is facebook.com/WGS-TV, and don't forget to please subscribe to youtube.com/WrestleGamer and youtube.com/ZFXTV Network. So for the Illuminous one, the Shining Star, Rick Starr, the Bay Area MVP, he will now be renamed the Silent MVP, known as Will, and the incomparable Lance Moss from Lance Moss TV, and our very, very special guest, the one, the only beautiful Bobby Eaton from the Midnight Express. I'm the Wrestle Gamer, Del Maple Leaf Boudreaux, saying thank you very much for watching. I'd like to remind everyone that tonight's interview with beautiful BobbyEaton has been brought to you by a brand new charity from James and Big Easy, Chair Shots for Jim Cornette, especially when he's running around with ants on his neck.
Thank you for listening to this edition of Hardcore Wrestling Radio. Be sure to follow us on our pages, facebook.com/Hardcore Wrestling Radio and Spreaker.com/HWR Media, and also on YouTube.com/HWR Show. Until the next time, this is Rick Starr saying, see you when we see you.